This week on KUJH, find out how the Lawrence Public Schools are now responding to a budget crisis and what this will mean for the district moving forward.
Explore the latest updates and fights to redistrict Kansas and how it could affect voters in the upcoming election.
And how the Kaw Nation reacts to the return of their sacred red rock. All of that and more on KUJH.
Live from the studio in Stauffer Flint at the University of Kansas, you're watching KUJH News.
Welcome back to KUJH. I'm Lily O'Shea Becker.
And I'm Sam Lance. In an ongoing attempt to combat a budget crisis, the Lawrence School Board voted on Monday night to approve additional cuts to make up for the district's budget.
In a motion passed 5-2, there will be additional reductions made to administration and learning coaches.
We will implement.
The main goal of the district is to balance the new budget with resignations and retirees, and keep in mind what will help with student success.
We will implement and operationalize these budget reductions in a way that first and foremost keeps students' needs at the forefront, and then also that protects our current staff as much as possible.
Some of the administration cuts will be seen in the district administration's office rather than in schools. Monday night's approval brings the district's total cuts to $6.4 million with an additional goal of $7 million.
The battle over redistricting in Kansas powers on ahead of the November election.
State Democrats accuse Republicans of drawing a map that would oust Kansas's lone Democratic representative, Sharice Davids. Gabriel Johnson joins us live outside the Douglas County Courthouse. Where are we right now, and is there a solution in sight?
The redistricting trial went to the Kansas Senate over the weekend, and divisions on the issue seem to remain the same. Democrats argued that counties like Wyandotte, Johnson, and Douglas were unfairly split up by Republicans in an attempt to unseat current Representative Sharice Davids by isolating Democratic voters.
I don't feel confident that this map represents Kansas. I would suggest all of you do what is best for Kansans so that we can come out with a good product and work together to have the voice of Kansans heard in this process.
But it seemed like such a minor line change, it would be easy to do, which it was. The committee decided to make the adjustment to make sure that it followed instead of the county line, which was kind of a guideline, to follow the reservation line instead in that area. And that is what happened, and that is what was voted out.
Now Republicans claim there was no gerrymandering attempt, but the counties mentioned had grown too large to fit into one singular congressional district. Court Judge Bill Clapper will decide within the next 2 weeks whether the bill is legitimate or if it was gerrymandered. Reporting live for KUJH News, I'm Gabriel Johnson.
Thanks, Gabriel.
On Sunday afternoon, KU fans lined up on Mass Street to celebrate the Kansas men's basketball team during their championship parade. Elise Noe gives us all the excitement in Lawrence from this past weekend.
I'm here in downtown Lawrence where the crowd is ecstatic and the atmosphere is exhilarating. Fans are waiting in anticipation to see Bill Self and the Jayhawks sport the NCAA National Championship Trophy.
I'm very excited. I love Ochai and CB.
We are so hyped. This has been something we've been looking forward to. Last year of school, couldn't ask for anything better to graduate with.
After almost a week since the Jayhawks won the NCAA championship, thousands of KU fans gathered all around downtown Lawrence to celebrate KU's basketball team with a parade on Sunday afternoon.
I'm so excited to be here in Lawrence en masse. It's been a great last week.
The crowd's excitement to see their Jayhawks could be felt from Massachusetts Street all the way to Allen Fieldhouse.
Finally brought it home, and it's the greatest teams on the planet. It's the greatest fans on the planet, the greatest team, the best coach. I mean, there's nothing better than Lawrence, Kansas.
Rock chalk, baby.
Rock chalk, Jayhawk, and Skohawks.
Elise Noe reporting for KUJH.
It's wonderful to see the Lawrence community coming together to celebrate the Jayhawks' first national championship in 14 years.
Rex's Barbershop on Mass Street holds a tradition of cutting KU basketball players' hair, and despite basketball season being over, the barbershop still plans on continuing that tradition. KUJH's Johan Marin tells us how this local barbershop spreads its KU spirit through fresh cuts.
Rex City and Barbershop, a spot where over the years, many KU athletes have gotten a haircut, and some KU athletes still do now. Ever since Rex Porter became the owner of Rex Stadium Barbershop, he's welcomed KU basketball players to sit down, get a haircut, and have a good time.
Not only do they play for the game, they share a lot of stories with me, and it's just been fun.
When players walk into Rex Stadium Barbershop, they're welcomed with collections of KU gear and pictures of past KU athletes.
There's so much history and so much just history of all of a basketball, football, track. It's so much fun to have it in here.
The owner of Rex Barbershop says his favorite part about signing KU basketball players is getting a chance to sit down and talk about the basketball season.
Porter also says apart from owning a barbershop, he's been a huge KU fan ever since his first KU basketball game.
Since the day I went to my first ball game, which was 1977, my mom bought me tickets because my birthday's in October. So it was great. I mean, instantly I became a fan.
Now, Porter wants to continue developing friendships with KU athletes that show up at his shop.
Not only do you see somebody playing, they're your friends. So that to me is more than just watching a guy play. That's your buddy playing.
Porter also says apart from owning a barbershop, he's been a huge KU fan ever since his first KU basketball game. Reporting for KUJH, I'm Johan Marin.
Thank you, Johan. Rex Barbershop is looking forward to catching up with not only KU athletes, but also the Lawrence community and continuing to spread the KU spirit.
Well, Lily, it was 85 degrees outside yesterday. This morning, whenever I was coming to class, it was 40, and hail was hitting my face.
Yeah, Halen, what in the world is going on out there?
Well, it's not hail, it's actually called grapple, which is a kind of a mixture between rain, snow, and sleet, and it kind of looks a little bit like dipping dots, but not hail whatsoever, as we already had our fair share of some strong severe thunderstorms last night, had that cold front push through, and that's why temperatures just plummeted for today, and we still have a little bit of those winds out there, which are making things a little bit cool out there, but those clouds, good news, sun is finally coming out, which is starting to warm those temperatures up a little bit, but still 40s across the region, especially going up into those 30s up towards Leavenworth, but still those winds are blowing across the region, so that's why it feels like in those lower 40s to even those lower 30s, especially areas up to the north where those winds are blowing a little bit more. But now, good news is that while it will be cold tonight, we are going to be slowly warming up in the next couple of days, and also too going to be keeping a close eye on this holiday weekend forecast, which I'll be giving more details about that coming up later in the forecast. But while we're not having severe weather, we'll toss it to Alyssa, who has more information on how to stay safe this spring.
Thanks, Halen. As we reach the midpoint of tornado season in Kansas, it's important to be prepared for severe weather to hit your area. Linwood resident Aaron McLaren just finished rebuilding his family's home, which was destroyed by the tornado that tore through Douglas County back in 2019. I spoke with him to see how he and his family were prepared the day that tornado touched down.
Very few Douglas County residents would be able to forget the mile-wide EF4 tornado that ripped through parts of Douglas County back in 2019, especially Aaron McLaren, whose home was destroyed by the twister in Linwood, Kansas. McLaren, who has 2 young boys, couldn't believe their home was gone.
Until I got home and saw the damage, it didn't soak in.
Nearly 2 years later, McLaren and his family finished rebuilding their home from the ground up in the summer of last year. Despite the severity of the damage to their previous home, McLaren says being prepared with an emergency plan and supplies helped them immensely.
I don't know, it's kind of surreal, but my wife had already pre-planned for that. With like the last week, she put stuff in the basement for like that exact situation.
Even though preparedness helped keep his family safe, McLaren said people often don't think of the complications people have to go through after the fact, which for him included things like people stealing valuables from his destroyed home in the weeks following the tornado.
Definitely prepared us from the standpoint of being like actually hit by the tornado in that exact moment. But obviously there's a lot more stuff that you don't know that you need to do for after it happens, you know.
At the end of the day, the McLarens are just happy to be back home in the wide open land of Linwood.
Out here it's kind of like no one messes with you and you have your own space. And then just making it home, you know, like bringing stuff and building things or putting furniture in the house and making it kind of your own place again.
It's great to see that family back in their home after such a devastating loss. The Douglas County Emergency Management Department recommends households prepare for severe weather by purchasing a weather radio to stay alert. You should also invest in an emergency kit stocked with items like food, water, and first aid supplies, and have an emergency plan prepared. Sam and Lily.
Thanks, Alyssa. And as a reminder, Douglas County will test its outdoor sirens on the first and third Monday of every month through the end of July.
Coming up on KUJH, how the Kaw Nation reacts to the return of their sacred red rock. Stay with us after the break.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good. For greatness. Can you hear it?
Welcome back to KUJH.
Last week, the Mellon Foundation allocated a $5 million grant to the Sacred Red Rock Project. The grant will fund the return of the 28-ton sacred quartzite rock from the Robinson Park in Lawrence to a heritage park owned by the Kaw Nation and help educate people on the history of the Kaw Nation. Together, the Kaw Nation, the City of Lawrence, KU, and others will use the grant to move the Sacred Red Rock from Robinson Park in Lawrence to the Algoegu National Heritage Park near Council Grove, Kansas. 25 years ago, the Kaw Nation purchased land where the Heritage Park now resides to increase their presence in Kansas, the historical location of the Kaw people.
And at least we have some place in Kansas where we can tell our own story about who we are as Kaw people, because very few other places are telling our story, and are certainly not telling the story from our perspective. So
the grant will create an educational welcome center for the Sacred Rock and other monuments in the Heritage Park. Educational materials will be installed at Robinson Park, where the rock has sat for 93 years after it was removed from its natural location and dedicated to the pioneer settlers of Lawrence. The Lawrence City Commission voted unanimously last year to return the sacred rock, which was historically used to gather for prayer.
Or we may not have the same kind of ceremonies that we once had with the stone, but we still feel an obligation that we are the stewards of that rock.
Here at KU, the university will be leading a K-12 educational program about Kaw history, and
we're working with University Press of Kansas on a book project, and we're going to be doing a documentary.
The rock is expected to be moved by next spring. I'm Lily O'Shea Becker with KUJH News. Later this month, those who are involved in the project will meet at the Heritage Park to discuss plans for transporting the rock and developing educational materials. For more information, you can go to www.sacredredrock.com.
This past Saturday, KU hosted its annual Indigenous Powwow event. KUJH reporter Mackenzie Laporte was able to show us some of the celebrations you may have missed.
I'm here at the 33rd annual KU Powwow event. There's food, there's dancing, and there is just a beautiful energy in the air today. Let's go take a look. There were plenty of vendors, celebrations, and a crowd that numbered in thousands. The powwow was free to the public with activities for all ages, including educational sessions, dance contests, story time, and more.
It's been really cool to see the turnout and the support from the community, and just all the costumes and all the vendors, and it's just been really interesting for me because I didn't even know it was happening.
Being from Lawrence, I've lived here for more than 12 years, and I never knew that this was even going on, that this was a thing. So yeah, we came and we volunteered, and just seeing how many people showed up, it's been really cool.
The event engaged the non-Indigenous community as well as educating the public on the traditions of the culture.
Come on out and enjoy yourselves.
The powwow featured Indigenous dancers, the Haskell Color Guard, several Storytime readers, and even the NCAA Men's Basketball Trophy made an appearance.
I'm coming here to represent not only myself, but my tribe and my community, and also as a veteran of the United States Army. And I'm very, very fortunate and very blessed, and I'm going to keep chugging along.
Looks like we missed out on some fun. For anyone who couldn't attend KU's powwow, Haskell is hosting a graduation powwow on May 13th.
Coming up after the break, Halen Wilhite is bringing the weather and what to expect in the forecast for the week.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Welcome back to KUJH.
Halen, it was hailing a little bit this morning. What weather can we expect for the holiday weekend?
Well, it's still a little bit more going to be on that milder side. We had quite a bit of weather happening in the last 24 hours. We had some strong to severe thunderstorms happening yesterday, and that cold front pushed through late last night, and we saw a little bit of that graupel to sleet across the region today, even a few flurries as well, but all that's already pushing well off to the east. But here's a bit of a look at that storm that we were watching yesterday. Can clearly see we had, especially in the Kansas City metro area, we had a lot of cap here. You can kind of see with those wavy-like clouds up there. That shows it's very stable air, and that was one of the things that really hindered those storms moving in through the into our area, and that's why they weren't as severe as we were intending them to be. But certainly severe in parts of Nebraska and especially in parts of northern and central Iowa. Several tornadoes up there, but good news, no tornadoes for us here today. Very cool like temperature so far. We got 46 degrees as our high. Can clearly see that low pressure system still making its way off to the south with that cold front pushing well off to the east, and seeing plenty of some strong to severe thunderstorms, especially in parts of the south, especially in parts of Arkansas at the moment right now. But here's a bit of a closer look, seeing that again, that system is still pushing off to the east. And again, those strong to severe thunderstorms in parts of Arkansas making its way down into the parts of the south or the southeast. And so we're going to be staying dry for tonight and especially going into tomorrow. But definitely that marginal risk is still off to the south, and don't have to worry about any more thunderstorms for us at the moment. But still, satellite radar is still showing us just some of those clouds still sticking around in the region. Now, we are under a couple of alerts. So we have a freeze warning in effect in a couple of our northern counties. Lawrence in the Douglas County area is under that frost advisory and fire weather watch for tomorrow, as conditions are going to be very dry for tomorrow, and also still pretty windy. So definitely need to take it if you are wanting to plan on burning anything out there, do not do it for tomorrow, as that fire danger is high. But for the rest of this evening, we are still going to be at least dropping down into those eventually those lower 30s this evening, actually getting below freezing, 31 degrees. That's why that frost advisory and frost warning is in effect for our region. But still going to be seeing those clouds moving out. Then once we get into tomorrow, feeling a little bit more better. We've got 61 as our high, mostly sunny skies, but still winds blowing from the west at 10 to 15 miles per hour. And that's why, again, that fire watch is still in effect for tomorrow. Now, our next chance of rain won't necessarily be until closer to the weekend, especially going into Sunday or for the Easter holiday. Could see a few scattered showers trying to pop up throughout the region, but not expecting a complete washout, but certainly might want to hold on to the umbrella and a light rain jacket for Sunday. But temperatures should still stay in those 50s for this weekend, but then start going back and forth between those 50s and 60s for the rest of this week. So by Thursday and Friday, we'll enjoy those 60s. Saturday, dipping back down into those 50s and that chance of rain for the Easter holiday, and we'll still be going around with those 50s and 60s going into next week, and maybe another chance for some showers going into next Tuesday.
Stay tuned after the break for a look into the eventful weekend in KU sports. Welcome back to KUJH.
Kansas football was back on the field Saturday for the first time with fans since late November. KUJH Sports was there for the return to action and also caught up with both the softball and baseball teams.
Andrew, tell us about the eventful weekend you all had.
Yeah, Lily, 3 events on Saturday and a men's basketball parade on Sunday. It doesn't get much better than that. Caroline Sorrell and I talked to several prominent voices on our trip around Lawrence. Plus, we heard from a men's basketball favorite that you'll want to head over to our Twitter to hear more about. But first, Caroline and I's trek around the city. It's Andrew Lynn and Caroline Sorrell here at David Booth Memorial Stadium for the spring game as KU looks to kick off their season on a hot streak.
That's right. The game just kicked off here, and as you can see, the stands are packed. There were windy stands out in front of the stadium earlier this afternoon, as well as bouncy houses and other attractions for some of the kids that came. The weather is great, so it should be a good day here at the booth.
1, 2, 3, 4.
From the hometown of the famous Jared Casey, and so I needed to come and see him too. He's like infamous in our town, and his family's all here, and we're just having a great time.
We've been getting support from them all season. Obviously, their season early, we were supporting them, coming to games, showing up. But no, it's just brotherhood between us two. You know, KU football and KU basketball.
We are going to stop number 2 of the day to watch Kansas softball play against Baylor at Oroka Ballpark.
A lot of tough competition in the Big 12 as a lot of teams in the Big 12 are ranked in the top 25, so going to be interesting to see how KU handles the Bears. And we just left football where the highlight of the day was probably seeing Chris Tehan on the KU basketball team throw a 40-yard pass. He was suited up in pads, jersey, everything, so quite the day.
Touchdown, Kansas.
They've been behind the 8 ball for the most part this season against the post, especially in the Big 12. We saw against Texas, they were down big pretty early and they couldn't really come back. But today's a good day if they want to get a win.
We're back, stop number 3, Hockliff Ballpark, as KU takes on Illinois State.
That's right. It is the top of the 6th inning, and the game is tied 2-2 as Illinois State just drove in another run. So we'll have to see how this one plays out.
Like the Jayhawk spirit right now is like really high, and like we're so excited for the parade. So yeah, it's just like good vibes all over, and like yeah, New Orleans is crazy, and like we're bringing that same energy back here.
You just heard it from a student. The energy around KU sports is on the rise, and Kansas football would like to keep the momentum that way. Head coach Lance Leipold says this is the best preseason weekend the team gets, rather. Take a look.
Kansas football ended its spring slate with the spring preview on Saturday. The team participated in numerous drills before playing some game situation football. Head coach Lance Leipold said the preview was a great opportunity since KU has had limited scrimmaging opportunities this spring.
This is probably the best live evaluation that we can have, and again, because of all of you here, fans here, music playing, all that kind of stuff, band playing.
Some notable plays from the spring game included several quality passes from Jalen Daniels and a Jared Casey diving catch. However, the most impressive play came from an unlikely source. Kansas basketball guard Chris Tehan was allowed to play one play at quarterback, and the fan favorite delivered, throwing a 75-yard touchdown pass.
I was looking at as far as I could throw it. I didn't care where it was. I knew there was 4 guys going long, so I knew if I threw it somewhere, someone was going to run underneath it. So that was all I was thinking about.
You know, he looked like a real QB1 out there. Looked like he could play for Bama one day.
Next up, the Jayhawks will participate in a summer lifting schedule before fall camp starts in August. KU still has a lot of work to do to become the team it wants to be.
You know, we've still got to get more time in that weight room. Now, we gave up some things on the front end, and we've got to maximize that here on the back half of the semester and help propel us into the summer.
That's a look at sports. Now I'll send it over to Sam and Lily.
Thanks, Andrew. Kansas football will play its first game in early September against Tennessee State. After the break, find out how local bands are showing off their skills here in Lawrence.
Stay with us.
From adversity, we rose. We made history and became pioneers, voyagers, champions, Jayhawks. And when our chant rises, haunting and hallowed, Jayhawks are telling the world what's near. Victory.
Welcome back to KUJH.
KJHK, the student-run radio at KU, is hosting a local Battle of the Bands. Olivia Acree spoke to one of the bands about the competition. Here's the story.
From where Nirvana and Green Day played in a small, standing room only shack, to where Janelle Monáe packed in her hometown crowd, Lawrence has a rich music history. KJHK, the student-run radio station at KU, is trying to bring the love of music back to Lawrence.
We are kickstarting the live music scene again in Lawrence. This is the first time that a lot of local bands are going to get to play at a venue with like such capacity.
The competition started with 36 applicants and is down to 4 bands competing in the finals. KJHK is hosting a Battle of the Bands where local bands get to compete for a cash prize and studio time. Dog Complex, one of the final bands, has big plans on how they would use the money.
We would ideally love to record. Use it to record.
The finals are taking place this Friday in Lawrence at the Bottleneck. Here's how one of the finalist bands feels about the competition.
I mean, it feels great. We're just super excited to be playing, especially the Bottleneck's a great venue.
To support the local music scene, you can purchase a student ticket for $3 and stay for the show to vote on your favorite band. I'm Olivia Acree for KUJH News.
You have to stay till the end of the show to vote, but what a great way to support the local music scene.
After moving on from former head coach Lee Ice, Free State High School softball entered a new era. Here's Reese Dunker on the new man in charge.
The Lady Firebirds, fresh off a win over Shawnee Mission South, are rolling to start the season. The man leading Free State High to this hot start is one that's easily recognizable for any longtime KU football fan.
Charlie Bowen used to roam the secondary just over my shoulder here at David Booth, Kansas Memorial Stadium. Now he's the Lady Firebirds' first new head coach since 2009. I guess you could say he traded in the football for the softball.
Bowen has goals in mind for his players and knows there's a lot more to softball than just playing it.
We're going to do things right, not only on the field, but in the classroom, and we're going to make them better women at the end of the day.
Bowen spent time living in Texas after graduating from KU. Back in Lawrence, he knows where his focus lies.
And that's, that's priority, but we're going to get 1% better every day, and we're going to compete every day.
Bowen's predecessor, Lee Ice, was dismissed following the 2021 season. After being hired, Bowen decided to keep the rest of the staff intact. After all, that staff has been a part of 2 state titles and 1 fourth-place finish in the past 3 years. Just over 2 weeks into the new season, the Lady Firebirds are adjusting well to their new head coach, Charlie Bowen, and it sounds like he's enjoying his new gig equally as much. This has been Reese Dunker, reporting for KUJH News.
Thanks, Reese. The playoffs begin on May 16th, and we'll have to wait and see how far the Bowen guides the Ladybirds in his first trip to the postseason. Thank you for watching KUJH. Tune in next week at 4 p.m.
For more coverage, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and to visit our website at tv.ku.edu.
Have a good evening.